Deep beneath North Korea's harsh, mountainous landscape lies a treasure more valuable than gold, more strategic than oil. We're talking about rare earth elements, the invisible ingredients that power your smartphone, guide military missiles, and drive the green energy revolution. Here's what most people don't know. North Korea may be sitting on the world's largest untapped rare earth deposits. We're talking about an estimated 216 million tons of rare earth oxides. That's more than double all currently known global reserves combined. But here's the twist. While the world desperately needs these materials, they remain locked away by sanctions and isolation. This isn't just a story about buried treasure. It's about a silent resource war that could reshape global power in ways most people never see coming. Let me put this in perspective. If oil powered the 20th century, rare earths are powering the 21st. Every electric vehicle needs dozens of pounds of neodymium and dysprosium for its motors. Every wind turbine requires massive magnets made from these elements. Your smartphone screen? That's europium and terbium lighting up those pixels. But here's where it gets geopolitical. China controls this entire game. They produce 69% of the world's rare earths and process over 90% of them. Imagine if one country controlled 90% of all oil refining. That's the stranglehold China has on rare earths today. And when I say stranglehold, I mean it literally. In 2010, China cut off rare earth exports to Japan during a territorial dispute. Japanese factories shut down. Stock markets crashed. It was a preview of economic warfare in the rare earth age. This is why North Korea's hidden deposits matter so much. They represent the potential to break China's monopoly if they ever see daylight. So how much are we really talking about? The numbers are staggering. North Korea's Gyeongju deposit alone is estimated at 216 million tons of rare earth oxides. To put that in context, China, the world's rare earth superpower, has reserves of 44 million tons. Australia has 5.7 million. The United States, just 1.8 million. If these estimates are accurate, this single North Korean site contains more rare earths than the rest of the world combined. South Korean analysts have valued North Korea's total mineral wealth at $6 to $10 trillion. But here's the catch. These resources might as well be on Mars. North Korea's mining infrastructure is stuck in the Soviet era. Their facilities run at less than 30% capacity due to power shortages and outdated equipment. The country that could theoretically supply the world's rare earth needs can barely keep its lights on. In 2014 to 2015, North Korea managed to export just $1.87 million worth of rare earth ore to China, roughly 62 tons. That's not even a rounding error compared to their potential. To understand how this could play out, let's look at another contested region. Artsakh, also known as Nagorno-Karabakh. This small territory in the South Caucasus doesn't have rare earths, but it has gold and copper mines that became silent drivers of a decades-long conflict. The Zod gold mine alone held 120 tons of gold reserves, worth billions. For 30 years, Armenia controlled these resources while Azerbaijan was locked out. When Azerbaijan finally reclaimed the territory in 2020, it wasn't just about ethnic tensions or territorial pride. It was about who would control those mines. The parallel to North Korea is striking. Both are contested territories with massive underground wealth. Both have drawn in major powers, China and Russia, backing North Korea, Turkey and Russia vying for influence in Artsakh. And in both cases, the local populations see little benefit, while external powers position themselves to control the resources. The lesson? Resource wars aren't always fought with tanks and missiles. They're fought through sanctions, proxy relationships, and the slow chess game of geopolitical leverage. Here's how the rare earth war actually works today. China doesn't just mine these materials. They've built an integrated supply chain that's nearly impossible to replace. Mining rare earths is just step one. The real power lies in processing. You need to separate 17 different elements using complex chemical processes. China has spent decades building this capability, while everywhere else let their industries wither away. The result? Even when other countries mine rare earths, they often ship the raw ore to China for processing. It's like drilling your own oil, but sending it to your competitor to refine into gasoline. This is why North Korea represents such a wild card. If sanctions were lifted tomorrow and North Korea opened its doors to Chinese investment, Beijing could potentially double its raw material supply overnight. China's monopoly wouldn't just continue, it would become virtually unbreakable. But there's another scenario that keeps Western strategists awake at night. What if North Korea starts trading these materials through back channels? Recent reports suggest North Korean rare earths are already being smuggled to Russia via secret rail corridors. About 30% of North Korea's illicit mineral exports now flow through this route. Think of rare earths as the ultimate bargaining chip. For North Korea, these deposits could be more valuable than nuclear weapons in the long run. China wants to lock down access to maintain its dominance. They've already been quietly negotiating. In 2019, reports surfaced of North Korea offering mining rights to China in exchange for $2.5 billion solar power plant investment. Russia sees an opportunity. With Western sanctions cutting them off from technology markets, they need every source of critical minerals they can get. The new Russia-North Korea partnership includes a mutual defense treaty and likely some quiet mineral trading on the side. Meanwhile, the United States, South Korea, and Japan face an impossible choice. They want to maintain pressure on North Korea's nuclear program through sanctions, but they also desperately need to diversify their rare earth supplies away from China. It's a perfect example of how resource control shapes modern geopolitics. The country with the minerals writes the rules. But let's be realistic about the challenges. Even if sanctions disappeared tomorrow, North Korea couldn't just flip a switch and become a major supplier. Their mining equipment is decades out of date. Their power grid can't handle industrial-scale operations. They lack the skilled workforce and the environmental safeguards that modern mining requires. Rare earth mining is also incredibly destructive. It generates radioactive waste and toxic chemicals that can contaminate groundwater for generations. China learned this the hard way. They've spent billions trying to clean up environmental disasters from their rare earth operations. North Korea, with virtually no environmental regulations, could face ecological catastrophe on an unprecedented scale. And history shows us that in contested resource regions like North Korea or former conflict zones like Artsakh, the local population rarely benefits. The wealth gets captured by elites and used to fund military buildups rather than development. Looking forward, I see three possible futures for North Korea's rare earth strategy. Scenario 1. Continued isolation. Sanctions remain tight. North Korea stays closed, and these resources remain dormant. This maintains the status quo, but leaves China's monopoly intact. Scenario 2. Shadow trading. North Korea expands its covert mineral exports through China and Russia. This wouldn't be market shifting, but it would give Pyongyang crucial revenue for its weapons programs and tighten Beijing's control. Scenario 3. Strategic opening. A diplomatic breakthrough leads to sanctions relief and massive foreign investment in North Korea's mining sector. This would fundamentally reshape global supply chains, but it would require a complete transformation of North Korea's political system. Right now, we're living in a mix of scenarios 1 and 2. The question is whether we'll ever see scenario 3. Here's the bottom line. North Korea's rare earth deposits aren't just about minerals, they're about power. In a world racing toward electric vehicles, renewable energy, and AI-driven defense systems, whoever controls these resources controls the future of technology itself. If North Korea decides to fully weaponize its rare earth potential, whether through alliance with China, shadow deals with Russia, or even eventual reconciliation with the West, we could witness a new kind of Cold War, not fought with missiles, but with minerals. The silent resource war has begun, and the country with some of the world's largest rare earth reserves is also one of the most isolated and unpredictable nations on Earth. The question isn't whether these resources will eventually reshape geopolitics. It's whether the world will be ready when they do. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Capital Compass, so you won't miss any future deep dives into the forces shaping our world. See you in the next video.